The structure of that set that you guys were doing, did it evolve, change? Was it like an experimentation, a process, or did he come out with a vision for what he wanted to do with?
On Rolling Thunder?
Yeah.
Jacques Levy was the musical director, or just the stage director. It was like a play to him, and it was structured. It was very structured. Right. Bobby Newirth came out and did a setup kind of thing with the band, Guam, which incidentally, my wife Camilla lived on Guam, and I had a Guam T-shirt, and so when
you
we met,
close to that.
Yeah, she said, "What? Why do you have that?" I said, "Well, I remember Newirth came up with the name. He said, let's pick the name for the band of a place nobody's ever been to, none of us had ever been to. So that was the reason for that. So Bobby Newirth and Guam came out and did the opening couple of songs, and I forget, Ramblin' Jack came out. I'm not sure of the whole sequence of events, but I came out in the second half. Bob came out at the end of the first half and did some stuff. And then Joan Baez, I did a song or two, and Joan Baez came out and sang 8 Miles High with me and started dancing. And I mean, it's totally out of character for what you think of the pristine queen of folk music doing child ballads. She was doing the boogaloo out there. And Mick Ronson picking spiders from Mars licks behind 8 Miles High. And it was incredible.
It sounds like it.
T-Bone Burnett, I did Chestnut Mare, and he used to lasso me on stage.
And that wasn't a Jack Levy idea with the lasso, was it?
Well,
fits his thing. Any offstage experiences with Bob that really have shaped? We talked about the movies. You said a very funny line. You'd show him movies, and Bob would say, "Man, it's hard work to watch a movie."
Yeah.
And I could really picture that. Anything about, because you've had a lot of longevity. I always like to pick people's brains when I see they've had so much of a long run. Sometimes there's a magic to how that's acquired, and I wondered if a few things maybe you had learned from him.
Well, it's just a passion for what I do. I love what I do. I had a record executive about 40 years ago tell me to hang it up. Said, Raj, it's kind of like sports guys. They know when to hang up the jock, right? I said, if I have to go out in the street and be a busker, I'm not going to quit doing what I do. It's just in my blood.
So it was a guarantee right there. Through the years, this folk den has been, I guess I kind of look at it like almost like a parallel to the Rolling Thunder. It was like Bob wanted to just shove all these great important things out on stage so that people would get them. It was not about the commerce. It's about make sure you get all this music. Mm-hmm. And the folk den, in so many ways, is kind of like that.
It's totally non-commercial, yeah. It's just to preserve the old songs. I realized in November of '95 that I wasn't hearing a lot of traditional songs. The child ballads, it wasn't cool to do them anymore. I remember there's a scene in Don't Look Back where Bobby Newirth is making fun of Joan Baez for still doing Henry Martin, which is an old child ballad. He said, he and Bob are talking, it's like, Joni, she's still doing Henry Martin, man. And they go, yeah, that's so lame, So it became, you had to be a singer-songwriter to be valid. And to sing old folk songs wasn't cool anymore. I went, what's going to happen when, Pete Seeger dies or Odetta dies, and they both have now, the people who held up the traditional end of folk music. So I knew how to record in my house. I knew how to get online. I knew how to put songs up for free download. Back then, modems were like 300 baud, so I had to do it in an 8-bit WAV file. And that still took some time to download. But I did it. And gradually I got real audio, and then we converted everything to MP3s.
And just kept doing this for what will be in November will be 20 years of documenting on your own, kind of like a public service.
Well, it is a public service, and it's sponsored by UNC Chapel Hill, so I didn't have to pay for it. It's not like the bandwidth, I don't have to worry about the bandwidth.
From the beginning they were doing that?
No, it was, I think it was Arkansas University gave me 6 megabytes of storage on their server to start with. And then Paul Jones from UNC contacted me, and this is when real audio was a new thing, and it was a step up from the 8-bit WAV files that I was putting out. And he said, we got real audio, and it would be better, and we'll give you all the space you want. And so I jumped over to UNC back probably about 18 years ago, and been there ever since.
Oh, that's a great contribution, and to think that it's been going on, like I said, I can't even imagine that you've been able to do something like that and keep it going, and it's a bit of history. Is there a favorite there's a one. I know at least one of those selections does have to do with Hawaii. Is there more than one, or there's
No, there's one, and I'll do it for you. And it's a song about whalers that based out of Lahaina, and they would go up to the Kamchatka region of Russia to fish for 6 months. And it was freezing up there, and they come back down to Maui, and it was wonderful for 6 months. So this is that song. It's a mighty tough life, full of toil and strife, we whalermen undergo. And we really don't care when the gale is done, how hard them winds did blow. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, with a good ship taut and free. And we'll have our fun when we drink our rum with the girls of old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, my boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale through the ice and wind and rain. Them coconut prawns, them tropical lands, we soon shall see again. 6 brutal months have passed away on the cold Kamchatka Sea. But now we're bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, the boy, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Once more we sail with a northerly gale, heading to our island home. Our mainmast sprung, our whaling done, and we ain't got far to roam. Our stencil booms is carried away, what care we for that sound? A living gale is after us, thank God we're homeward bound. Rolling down to old Maui, my boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Rolling down to old Maui, my boys, rolling down to old Maui. We're homeward bound from the Arctic around, rolling down to old Maui. Love that song.
Yeah, man. I like
It's got that thing, the E minor to G. I love all the songs that have that. 8 Miles High has that. E minor to G, and D, and back to E minor. It's something magical about that. The song, the Bob Gibson song I sang earlier, had that configuration of chords too.
And is that, what kind of key is it? Is that a
It's
minor
an
key?
E minor.
So it's a minor.
E minor to G
Has
major.
that serious kind of.
It's like the relative minor of G. So you're kind of almost singing in G, but you're starting out in the relative minor.